Our topic is creating a shortlist. What is shortlisting? Shortlisting is the process of identifying the candidates from your applicant pool who best meet the required and desired criteria for the open rec and who you want to move forward onto the next step of your recruitment process, which is usually some form of interview. Ang shortlisting daw po ay isang proseso sa pagpili ng mga tao mula doon sa mga applicant na pasok sa hinahanap na criteria at pwede nang mag-move forward sa sunod na step ng recruitment process, which is interview. Creating a shortlist. In the recruitment process, shortlisting comes after sourcing and before interviewing and further assessing. Screening and shortlisting often happen simultaneously as you screen resumes from candidates. You shortlist the best ones to move forward. Dito daw po sa creating a shortlist, madalas nagkakasabay ang screening at shortlisting kasi habang ini-screen mo ang bawat resume ng mga applicants, pinipili mo na din at the same time yung mga better ones na aplikante or candidates, and with that, you can form a shorter list of names of the better applicants. Why should you create a shortlist? The shortlisting process helps narrowing down your pool of applicants feel less overwhelming. It also sets standards for you and your talent acquisition team to look at in determining who the right applicants to talk to are. We should create a shortlist kasi ang shortlisting process daw ay nakakatulong upang mapaunti ang listahan ng mga nag-a-apply. Nakakatulong din ito para malaman mo kung sino yung mga aplikante na i-interviewin mo. Your shortlist can also help you identify how on target you are with reaching your ideal candidates. If you're struggling to find the applicants that meet your shortlist criteria, it might be a sign that you're not posting your job listing in the right places or that your expectations are too high for the job position you're looking to fill. Ang shortlisting din daw ay nakakatulong para malaman mo kung ano yung mga ideal candidates mo. Kasi kung nahihirapan kang humanap or pumili ng aplikante base doon sa criteria na binigay mo, it might be a sign daw po na you're not posting your job listing. You're not posting your job listing in the right places or maybe masyadong mataas ang iyong expectation sa posisyon na hinahanap mo. Overall, shortlisting makes the hiring process more manageable and it helps you speed it up. All in all din daw po sa pamamagitan ng shortlisting, mas mapapabilis yung hiring process. Yung title B wala. Isa pang pindot ng next. Yan. How to build a shortlisting process. Number 1, determine your criteria. Number 1, determine your criteria. Before you even post your job listing, you need to identify the must-haves and the nice-to-haves for the role you're hiring. This qualification will become the criteria for your shortlist. Your list of must-haves will be the minimum qualification for the candidates that you interview, while the nice-to-haves list might get that applicant some bonus points but not necessarily disqualify. Dito po, Dito dapat bago ka mag-post ng job listing, meron ka na dapat criteria or expectation kagaya ng kunwari ang ina-hire nyo ay, kunyari lang ito ha, sales lady. Siyempre, dapat may nakalagay sa must to have niya na for example ay good to entertain customer, have patient, mga ganon kasi pag yung nag-apply ay meron ng criteria na gusto mo or pasok dun sa criteria na inahanap mo, yun na yung magiging basihan mo para ilagay siya sa shortlist. Number 2, decide a shortlist maximum number. The point of a shortlist is that it needs to be short. If you're not cutting down your applicant pool, creating a shortlist doesn't really help. That's why you need to set a list maximum. In other words, you need to determine how many candidates you're going to move forward with. This might be a set number or it could be a percentage of applicants. You can also find this number by estimating how many candidates you've interviewed in the past out of everyone that applied for a certain role. Dito naman po, kailangan una pa lang mag-decision ka na agad kung hanggang ilan yung akunin mo or apiliin mo na aplikante. Kunyari, ang napili mo ay maximum of 35 lang yung akunin mo aplikante. Pag na-reach mo na yung 35 applicant, okay na yon. Tama na. Yung 35 applicants na yon ang mag-move forward sa next step. Try blind applicant screening. Try a blind applicant screening where you remove all demographic data from resumes and applications. By focusing on the relevant criteria and only the relevant criteria, you can reduce hiring bias and prevent it. Dito naman, blind applicant daw. Yung mag-focus ka lang sa criteria na dapat mong sundin, doon sa criteria na binigay mo na talaga. Di ka mag-focus sa kung saan siyang pamilya galing or sino ka mag-anak niya, kaibigan, ganon-ganon para maiwasan ang hiring bias. Kasi di man din talaga maiiwasan na porkit may backer or friendly ang kapamilya, pasok agad kahit walang kahirap-hirap. Kaya kailangan daw itry ang blind applicant screening to avoid hiring bias. Number 4, eliminate applicants who don't have a criteria you're looking for. You listed your must-have for a reason. If a candidate doesn't have the minimum criteria you're looking for in someone you want to interview, it's time to cut them. Don't waste your time with applicants who don't meet your needs. If you're expecting a high volume of applicants, you can automate this process. Using keyword identifying tools, you can automatically weed candidates who don't meet your basics out. Dito naman, di ba sa determine criteria, kailangan bago mag-post ng job ay may must to have na and nice to haves. Kaya ka daw naglista ng must to have ay may dahilan. Pag yung aplikante daw ay wala kahit minimum man lang ng criteria na gusto niya o nang hinahanap nyo, tanggalin agad. Huwag daw magsayang ng oras sa mga aplikante na di na-meet yung needs ninyo or yung criteria na binigay ninyo. Screen candidates in, not out. Screening candidates in versus screening them out might not seem like a big difference, but rather than just looking for candidates that don't fit what you're looking for, see what applicants have transferable skills, who seems like someone who will commit to your business and that you can rely on. If you're only looking at who checks all your boxes, you might end up with candidates who seem great on paper but aren't willing or prepared to grow with your organization. By screening candidates in rather than just screening out. Dito po, mas piliin pa din daw yung candidates na mag-fit sa job na hinahanap nyo. At the same time, may skills at talagang maaasahan. Hindi yung magaling lang sa papel pero hindi willing at handa sa paglago ng organization. And by screening candidate in rather than screening out, makakasiguro ka daw na ang may interview mo ay stronger candidates. Yung candidates na papasok talaga sa hinahanap mong criteria. 6. Try assessments during the initial application. Candidate assessment usually come later in the recruitment process, but adding them early on can help you get to know your applicants better in the beginning, especially when you're expecting high volumes of applicants. Assessments also come in handy if there is a specific skills you need to score applicants for. For example, if your must-have criteria are very specific, an assessment can help you understand who really has those skills versus who just listed them on their resume. Dito po sa candidate assessment ay makakatulong sa iyo para mas makilala mo pa ng lubos yung aplikante. Kunyari, sa panahon ngayon, di ba, may pandemic. Pag may nag-apply, yung pinag-applyan ninyo, may link na assessment na isesend sa aplikante. Online assessment yon to test the candidate, sasagot ng mga questions. Sa pamamagitan daw po kasi ng assessment, malalaman mo kung sino talaga yung totoong may skills at yung basta na lang naglista sa kanilang resume kahit wala naman talaga. Conduct a screening interview. Phone screening are incredibly common during the beginning phases of the hiring process. In fact, you probably already use them. While initial phone interviews are efficient for some, especially for low volumes roles. You can also screen candidates with a video interview. Video interviews allow applicants to respond to prompts in self-recorded videos. This gives you the opportunity to hear from large volumes of applicants who, without needing to invest time to independently screen them all. Dito naman po sa conduct screening interview, dito yung pwede sila mag-conduct ng screen interview using phone, yung atawagan kanila at atanungin ng mga basic information kagaya ng tell me about yourself, name, nickname, age, current address, previous work or experience, tapos pwede rin po through video call like Zoom, Google Meet, or etc. Ikaw na, Meryl. Give candidates a score. Naririnig po. Oo, Ben, naririnig.
Sige. Number 8, give your candidate a score. Interview score sheets are becoming part of growing trend to make the hiring process fairer and more objective, with the ultimate goal being to consistently select better candidates. An interview score sheet is used by hiring teams to evaluate candidates fairly and objectively during the shortlisting and interview process. Each interviewer scores the candidate on the same set of criteria, and hiring team can then meet and compare the scores of the candidate. Sa give your score candidates, sa give your candidate a score, ito yung isang process para mapadali yung para mapadali yung pagkuha natin ng mga candidates. Yung binibigyan natin sila ng score para halimbawa ito. Ito yung example. Yan. Yan. Okay na. Number 9. Let candidates know if you're not moving forward. It's always good to let candidates who don't meet your qualification know they're not moving forward in the interview process, especially if you've done further screening like a phone interview or ask them to complete assessment. So number 9, it always helpful to the candidate to let them know why you're not moving forward. Dahil ito na rin isang way ng isang kumpanya na yung to show respect to their candidates, to their applicants. The objective of this topic is that creating a shortlist is to identify those applicants who most closely fit person specification. The most common problem with shortlisting is inconsistency relating to the both people who involved the process you use. The people avoid inconsistency by ensuring those involved in shortlisting are involved every step of the way, through to final selection of the most suitable person. Ideally, they will be the same people involved in developing the job description and person specification. This involvement builds ownership and consistency into the decision-making process. Sinasabi dito na you need to have equal treatment of a person or candidate. You cannot allow personal bias to affect which applicants you shortlist. You need to be consistent in your decision making. The process. The process itself can also fall down if you have not clearly defined the selection criteria. Everyone must know what to look for when examining an application. Therefore, they may need training on how to shortlist, and they will certainly find it useful to have shortlisting documentation. This documentation contains the criteria against which people will be judged, with essential factors. This allows everyone to judge each applicant against the same relevant weighted criteria. The process of identifying the candidates from your applicant pool who best meet your desire and required and who want to move forward onto the next step of your recruitment process. Yung process dito, kailangan masunod, which is the recruiting planning, strategy development, searching, screening, and evaluation and control. Yun yung process na kailangan dito sa creating a shortlist. Applying consistent criteria. Using shortlisting documentation aids decision making and it's good equal opportunities. Practice, decide, and agree beforehand what you are looking for. The following are some examples. Building a shortlist. Sinasabi dito na yung shortlisting daw ang pinakamahirap sa isang HRM dahil in creating shortlist, maraming proseso ang kailangan gawin para makuha mo yung people or candidate na naayon sa isang kumpanya, yung best candidate. The following steps will help you ensure the shortlisting process is fair and consistent. Step 1. People involved in and sorting meet the agreed shortlisting criteria and are provided with shortlisting documentation. Dito yung mga employee ay kailangan dito sa unang step, yung mga employee kailangan nilang salain kung sino sa mga candidates ang na-meet yung standard ng isang kumpanya. Step 2. Each person shortlists on essential factors being used if too many applicants meet the essential ones. Dito sa step 2, dito naman ginagamit ng mga employee yung sinasabi nating a shortlist maximum number. Ito yung pag maraming applicants na na-meet yung standards ng isang kumpanya, they need to cutting down the application pool. Step 3. Each shortlister decides whether a person should be called in or not and write down their reasons. Dito sa step 3, kailangan ang mag-decision ng shortlister kung pasok ba itong candidates na ito o hindi. At kung hindi naman ito pasok dun sa kailangan nilang ilagay yung reason nila kung bakit hindi, anong problema o kung may kulang ba dun sa isang candidate na yun. Step 4, the group meets together to pull together the final list of the dates and the decision are recorded as to why a person is being shortlisted. Dito sa step 4, dito nangyayari na yung final decision para sa mga candidates na napili na nila, yung nahasa na. Lastly, step 5, the group also records reasons for rejection. This is important because should the decision ever be the subject of legal action, you need to be able to justify your choices. Para sa mga employee na involved sa shortlist ng mga candidates, dito nila kailangan i-depend kung bakit nagkaroon ng rejection at pagtanggap. Yun lang. Telephone shortlisting. Telephone shortlisting. From its recruitment, retention, and turnover survey 2004, the CIPD found that 26% of organizations, particularly those in the service sector, use telephone interviews to shortlist candidates quickly based on the essential criteria such as employment objective, education, required skills, or as test of telephone skills. The survey found that telephone interviewing is not being used as a replacement for face-to-face interviews, and it's largely used for shortlisting either in place of or alongside a traditional application form. Itong telephone shortlisting is ito lang ay na additional method lang para mas madali yung yung way ng yung pag-interview para walang hassle sa candidate at ganoon rin sa employee. How to use telephone screening. Telephone screening is usually undertaken by the recruiting manager, who should contact the relevant candidates in advance to make arrangement for phone interview. Prepare a set of job-specific questions which can be covered within 30 minutes. Calls the applicants and ask the prepared questions in a consistent manner. Take notes of each phone interview, including questions asked and answer received, which should be retained in line with the recruitment process. Ito yung mga nangyayari kapag yung hiring process is ang ginagamit ay telephone screening. Ito yung nangyayari. Ganyan. A poor response. If you have too few applicants, it is important to analyze what went wrong. Ito naman yung kailangan mo malaman kung bakit ba maunti lang yung applicants na pumapasok sa isang kumpanya. Kung yung job description mo ba is a true reflection of the job? Does the person's specification clearly match the job description, or are your expectation too high? Yan, kung yung expectation daw is masyadong mataas yung expectation mo na hinahanap sa isang candidate, maaaring konti lang talaga yung pumasok sa Is the salary too low for the role, the skill level required, and or market condition? Yung mababa ang pasahod. Ganun. Kaya konti lang. Did you market the role widely, or were you too restrictively? Did you market the role widely, or were you too restrictively? Kung inano mo yung advertisement mo, kung maganda kung malawak yung pag-advertise mo sa iyong kumpanya, or did advertising give a positive impression of the organization and the role? Were the essential criteria used for shortlisting the correct ones? Was the processing of application timely and efficient? Yun lang po yung Yun lang.